This is my first Cidoo keyboard sent to me by Epomaker. Plus, they sent me their side-printed PBT gradient keycaps along with their zebra switches. But before I piece this thing together, let's tear this Cidoo keyboard down. Now, tearing this down is pretty simple. You just need to pry off 5 clips on top, another 5 at the bottom. Sides only have 1 clip each, so all good. Expect some teardown signs that aren't totally avoidable though. Under the PCB, you will find 3 cables, 1 to the daughter board, 1 to the battery, and another for the screen. Pretty easy. Now for its internals, gaskets are made of silicone in case some of you guys are wondering. So in here, you get a flex cut PC plate. I like the cut patterns on this plate as perky flex cuts may sometimes be difficult to slot switches in. Under that, you get a sandwich foam paired with an IXP switch pad. Now for its PCB, this is a full hot swap or universal hot swap, however you want to call it. Basically, 3-pins or 5-pin switches are compatible here. This features south-facing LEDs and is screw-in stabilizer compatible, so great job, Cidoo. Now underneath the PCB is foam stuck to it and kinda acts like a Tempest tape mod. Then lastly, more foam to dampen the case. I don't think I would add anything else here. Since the stabilizer lube is already done, foam underneath the PCB can take the place of a Tempest tape mod. I think I'm all good with the internals all stuck. Now, before we piece this thing together, let's go over its specs. This has a tri-mode connectivity with Bluetooth, wired, and 2.4G, powered by a 3000 mAh battery pack. All good for a 75% layout. So this is a gasket-mounted keyboard with a customizable 1.14 TFT screen. That's customizable in a separate software aside from VIA. I made a video on how to set that up, and I will link it somewhere in the description. Its screen looks like that of the TH80 Pro version 2 from Epomaker, which is one of my main keyboards. And oh, since I already mentioned it, yep, this is VIA compatible, so advanced key bindings and layer setup is available. Also, VIA allows for better RGB customization with the option to choose the hue of your keyboard's static color. Just press the function key and left and right to choose hue, then press function key and the brackets to choose saturation. So far, I like that this is VIA compatible, so if you have other VIA keyboards, you don't need to download any other software but VIA alone. Enough of the techie stuff, let's go over the build. In its box, you get the keyboard, manual, Type-C cable, keycap puller, and a PET dust cover. Oh, and some stickers too, if you like. The cable is braided and does not feel cheap. I like that a PET dust cover is included. This is always a pro. Always. This is housed in full ABS plastic with no branding anywhere except of course under the keyboard. The feet under the keyboard is the standard kick-up feet with 2 height levels. One of the feet has the dongle stored by it. Overall, I have no complaints about the keyboard's build. It seems to be standard, nothing over the top, and nothing to complain about. This has 2 color options, a white and a black one for the bare bones kit. Yet for the pre-built version, you only get the white one with mixed colored keycaps, which I should say is a really good color combo. You can choose from 2 switch types, both from Cidoo. Now let's move on to the Epomaker gradient keycaps and the zebra switches. This has a cherry keycap profile made with PBT plastic. They are shine-through side-printed keycaps, and since this is paired with south-facing LEDs, you get a good RGB keyboard combo. I've never had a gradient keycap build before, but I have to admit this is one of the things that I will be holding on to for future builds. Stabilizers are pre-lubed and are tightly placed, plus the lube here is generous so far, so I wouldn't worry about adding more since even the elbows are well greased. As I said a while back, you're free to replace this with screw-in stabilizers if you like, since this has screw-in stab ports. Onto the zebras. First impression is this is leaning more towards the clacky side of switches, yet depending on case fittings, keyboard housing, plate material, this could sound thocky or marbly. This has a 40-gram actuation force and a 45-gram bottom out force, so they're light. Stem is made of palm, bottom housing is nylon, and the upper case is PC. And if it matters to some of you guys, this is a 5-pin switch. Now let's piece this all back together and find out what we get in the end in terms of aesthetics and acoustics. So since this is fairly a new board wherein the IXP switches do not have holes in it yet, it's a little difficult for me to slot in its switches. So I took the board out from the housing, and that's how I'm going to be slotting in these switches. And then after that, I'm gonna go check on VIA if all buttons are working, because if not, I'm gonna have to check if they're bent pins or they're not slotted in correctly. So let's go. Escape button. Oh, one is not working. Number 1 and R isn't working, and found out that I bent both of their pins. Minor problem, I'll just straighten them out. Straighten out the pins, this is number 1. Yay, now working. So I wasn't expecting it to look this good, but camera's on top of my Lego. I wasn't expecting it to be this good. The sound. Ooh, Very marbly. Comparable to my TH80 Pro version 2 from Epomaker. Very good. Now, of course, let's dive into the actual sound test where I'm using an actual microphone. First off, I was not expecting the contrast to look this good. I thought I would have an issue with the white and the off-white combo, but not very much. It adds to the gradient style of the keyboard. Let me know your thoughts in the description though. So far, what did I learn from this build? Zebras are now my favorite Epomaker switches. So there you have it. By the way, I reviewed lots of Epomaker keyboards including their Lego compatible keyboard, the Brick 87, the alien design Dynatab 75X, and the premium very classy Tide 75. And a lot more Epomaker keyboards you can check out on the playlist somewhere around this frame. Got questions? Be sure to comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe.